Welcome to the Silverlight video series. My name is Sean Wildermuth. You can reach me at adioguy.com. Today we're going to be talking about the events of the media element. The media element is a special control in XAML that allows you to play different types of media. And there are a couple of events that the media element exposes that are very special to playing media, and so we're going to explore some of that today. We're going to start with a very simple scene. This is simply a media element, and then some rectangles that are going to show some status to the media element. This media element is simply just playing a little butterfly video. And let me just show you what it looks like to begin with. Got a little video, and then we've got this little box where we're going to show some status. We're going to show a bar as the download of the video happens. We're also going to show a bar as the video plays. We're going to do a couple of those different things today. Let's start with the download of the video. This is one of the first things you're going to want to support if you're going to be playing videos from web servers. Now, what I'm about to show you with download works identical with buffering video, except that the events are called buffering. Because I'm not using a streaming server, I can't show you that in this video, but understand that the experience of buffering the video is identical to downloading the video. So the first thing we're going to want to do is on our media element, we want a new event handler for download progress changed. And I'm going to call this media download changed. So our media, the progress of our download has changed. You'll notice that down here we have a download rect or rectangle down here, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to show, as the download changes, we're going to increase the size of this. This is starting at width of 0 actually, and it is a little see-through with an opacity of 0.3, so we're going to be able to watch as the download happens, that bar move across the screen. Let me show you what that code looks like. So here we have media download changed, simple event handler like we've seen, except that here we have a typical media downloader changed event handler, a couple arguments like most of our events. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask the sender, and this sender is actually the media element as well. And we can ask that media element, what is the progress of the download? And this returns a double or a floating point number that says how much of the download progress. 0.5 would mean it's half done, 0.75 would mean 3/4, etc. So all we're going to do is calculate the amount of progress. We're going to multiply it by the natural width of that rectangle, which happens to be 448, to come up with a width. So when it's 50% done, we're going to specify the width is going to be 224, or half that, by saying download progress is 0.5 times 448 equals 244, and then we're simply specifying the width. This is a common way of showing progress. If we go ahead and press F5, that may have been too quick for you to see because the media we're dealing with is awfully small. Let me see if I can get that to happen again. What we're seeing here, unlike before, is that the download of the video is streaming across, and it's happening fairly fast. Because these videos are recorded at a fairly slow frames per second, it may be quite hard for you to see, but you'll have to trust me that that is actually moving from left to right. You can see that it's darker gray than it was before because we're actually making that happen. Let's look at the other event. Let's look at a way at showing that same sort of progress bar, but for where the video is playing at that very moment. So as it's at 1 second, 2 seconds, as it's half done, we'll show a bar across as it's actually playing. Now, unfortunately, there isn't an event that says play progress has changed. We only have one for download and buffering. So we're going to have to kind of actually fake this. This is a common trick that we've seen. We could use an HTML timer, but they really aren't very accurate. So what we end up doing in the XAML is we create a fake what we do in the XAML is we create an animation, a short animation, and in this case I'm having it short animation that's only 1 second long, so that every second we're going to be able to test to see where the progress is of the playing of our video. Now you could make this 0.1 check every 1/10 of a second. The granularity of this duration is how often this is going to happen. So one of the things you'll see here in this animation is we're actually changing the opacity of something called dummy. And dummy is just a canvas in here that actually doesn't show up in our UI at all. It actually ends up being a clear canvas that is just drawn on the screen for us to animate. When I say drawn on the screen, it doesn't actually show up to the visible eye. It's just really there for us to key off in this animation. Once this animation completes, it's going to fire this timer complete event. This timer event is actually where we're going to go ahead and show progress. Let me show you what that looks like. So this isn't a very difficult function. It just says timer complete. Now one of the things about timer complete is it's going to use a couple of properties on the player itself. So first of all, we're going to get a copy of the player, because the argument being sent in on the timer complete isn't the player, it's actually the storyboard, because that's what's actually being fired every second. And because now that we've got the player, normally what we would do is what we see down here is we would check the position in seconds and the natural duration. Natural duration is how long the video is in total. Position is where it is in the play cycle. Unfortunately, the natural duration isn't available and isn't valid until the media has actually been opened. So if you think about this, this may fire before the download finishes. And before the download finishes, the media element won't know how long the video is supposed to be. Because of that, we've got a little local variable here called isMediaOpened, so that we can skip actually doing this calculation until the media has opened. How do we know when the media is opened? We can't really poll to see when the media is opened. So what we do is we have another media event we're going to need to deal with, which is not surprisingly called MediaOpened. So we're going to have an event handler called MediaOpened. And this MediaOpened is not going to do a whole lot of work. It's really going to mark this local variable as true, so this will tell the timer, oh, it's okay to start looking at the natural duration and the position, as well as make our player become visible if it was invisible to begin with. So that now that this is firing when the media is opened, our timer complete every time it fires, it can get past this isMediaOpened and go ahead and calculate this rectangle. We're calculating this rectangle very similar to the way we did for download changed, except we're getting that percent by comparing where the position is versus the natural duration, doing the calculation against the width, and then we're changing it to a different rectangle we have that is for the playing progress. So we watch this now, you'll see that every second it's firing and updating the status of how far the video is going. That's where you can see this darker gray bar up here. If we start it again, you'll see it start all over again. Does that make sense? The last event we want to deal with is media ended. Now, what do we want to do with media ended? Media ended says that the video has come to the end of it, not surprisingly. What do you want to do? Now, the media element doesn't have the facility to auto loop. It doesn't say auto restart, start from the beginning, or any of that. So what you actually have to do if you want to have a video that continually loops is go ahead and capture the media ended event. And let's see what that event looks like. Here all we're doing is we're getting the player. Get rid of this. So we're getting the player. And then we're telling it to stop and then play. Now the interesting thing about play is that play always starts from the position it's at. So when the media plays, it plays all the way to the end, and the position is stuck at the end. So we have to have a way of setting the position back to the beginning. We could change the position seconds to be the beginning, but the easiest way to do this is actually to tell the player to stop. stop resets it back to the beginning of the video, and then play tells it to start. So by doing this, our video starts. We can watch our progress go along. When it comes to the end of the video, you should see it all loop right back. The video starts again, and our progress even starts again. It'll just loop over and over and over again. The other events that we haven't talked about, and we can't talk about them because in beta they're not working right now. I want you to be aware of their existence so that when the release happens and they fix this, you can deal with them. And this event is marker reached. Marker reached allows a video to have certain markers embedded in it to say we're at a certain point in the video so you can do something with this. Markers are something that when you encode a video you can go ahead and put in, so like a chapters of a DVD. You also often see this when you're dealing with video learning or distance learning, where you have markers embedded inside of the video to say change the slide. You're showing some text over here in the video form, the example or whatever, reach a marker, change some slide, or change some text on the screen for you. Unfortunately, the markers just simply aren't working right now. When you capture that event today, it's actually thrown an exception, so you can't even capture it yet. They have promised on the Silverlight.net forums that they're going to fix it in the next drop, whether that's the release or whether that's a CTP or a RC is unknown at this point. But there will be support for markers in videos. There's just no way to show it to you today. Well, my name is Sean Wildermuth. Thanks for joining me.